Welcome back, everybody, to Let's Play Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance. Last time we got the wide beam, freaking finally, 7 parts in, and we finally got a new beam that isn't the charge beam. And today we're checking the habitational deck for survivors, because now that we have access to the main deck once again, because we haven't been here since literally the beginning of the game, we're gonna see if there's any human survivors or any non-ex-host infested enemies or creatures or what have you. So let's head up here now that we have the level 2 hatches unlocked, and let's go. I like how it's just kind of like its own little area apart from the rest of the main deck, as opposed to its own like separate map, if that makes any sense. So right over there's the save station. I'm not gonna worry about that just yet. And this will be sort of short and sweet. I think this is one of the few instances in the game where the objective we're going for isn't a straight up upgrade, unlike most of what we've done through the game, which is kind of odd, but it's a little fun detour, so to speak. So it's gonna be interesting to see what's going on if you're a big fan of Super Metroid, because remember, I didn't play this game, you know, after Super Metroid. This was my first Metroid game, so I didn't quite catch the reference, but now that I have played Super Metroid, well, you can kind of see it in the background there. But yeah, those guys look kind of familiar from our last adventure. We'll go into more detail of who and what they are as we rescue them, but yeah, this one's an interesting little puzzle here. So you want to kind of mess around here and find which blocks you need to go through specifically to open up the route to where we need to go to actually save the things we're looking towards in the first place. But come over here, get yourself a little nifty missile tank. And yeah, cool little puzzle. It's a little cute. Nothing else to say about it, really. Put that fresh new pack of ice missiles to good use here. And there we go. So these are Edikuns and Decoras. So back in Super Metroid, if you watched that Let's Play of mine, and if you haven't, I might actually link it in the video description. Basically, these things were creatures that we ran into in Super Metroid, and they taught us abilities that Samus already kind of had, but didn't even know she had. For instance, the wall kick and the shine spark, for instance. And I thought there was I don't know, if you go back and watch that Let's Play, you'll know more of my opinion of that in depth. But I thought it was kind of cool to give Samus these like high-level techniques, but like you wouldn't know about them unless you were exposed to them in some sort of accidental fashion. And even Samus kind of reflects on this too. It's a nice little Easter egg. I like it. It's pretty cool. And they actually serve like some kind of like purpose in the story too. But yeah, unfortunately, because of this, that also means that we don't have any human survivors left, which is kind of shitty. These are the like only non-ex-host creatures that we've ran into so far that we were able to save, unfortunately. So yeah, let's go ahead and report the news back to HQ. Yeah. Yeah, like, just imagine it. Like, no humans. Literally every human on this station died. Like, fudge, dude. I believe the X only infected the humans for knowledge, which, yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's going back to that whole quest for knowledge take that I was mentioning in the previous videos. The others were merely food for the X. So, like, I guess, like, so maybe the X could have gone and taken these things, but they didn't see any use in it, maybe? I don't know. Is it like eating catfish where, like, you know you can technically eat it, but you can't because you don't want to go through and remove remove the bones and shit. Is that exactly what it is? Oh shit, we just came back from Sector 5 too. And yeah, it's funny thinking about it, really, because like when you see something like this where you're revisiting a data room, it really does show that like we're not against the whole idea of reusing data stations if we can. It's just that, well, it's the only one we have access to because all of the other ones got destroyed. Also, goddamn, 170 missiles. Huh. I still feel a little behind on energy tanks, though. Maybe it's just me. It could just be me. The fuck knows. Go down the elevator. Jesus Christ, Samus. So, I want to go ahead and address an issue that is kind of persisted throughout the Let's Play in some inconsistent fashion or form, but one thing I've noticed is that I don't know if anybody's brought this up. In fact, I don't think any of the comments have really brought it up, but it has annoyed me to some extent. It's the game audio. Like, I don't know what it is, but like, I can't seem... Okay, so I'm using something called Power Director. Like my capture device is... I think it's Easy Cap or something. I can't remember. But the application I go through and use to not only record but to edit my videos is Power Director, right? But for some reason, like, I put it on the lowest settings for volume on the game audio's end, and I can't seem to make it any lower than that. I'd love to, and it's so weird too, because like, I've used this for both Super Metroid and the previous two Metroid games before it, you know, Metroid 1 and Metroid 2 Return of Samus. Like, all of that was recorded from this application and capture card that I'm using right now. And I never had any high volume issues up until now. I don't know what it is. Like, is it the fact that the Game Boy player amplifies the volume of GBA games louder than they need to be? Is that what it is? Because that's kind of shitty, because like I turned it as low as I possibly can because that's the only way I'm getting good audio balance out of these videos. And yet, oh god, that was creepy. And yet it's still really loud. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that I apologize if the audio balance here is kind of whack. I can't really do much about it, unfortunately. So what I did from Pro 3 and onwards is just turn up my mic volume a little bit more. And I especially want to bring this up now because a lot of the later boss fights we run into, you know, towards the end of the game, especially the one right before the end game boss, you know exactly what I'm talking about if you've played this game before. It is obnoxiously loud and won't shut the hell up, and there is no way in hell I'm going to be able to talk over that without it drowning me out. So, basically, it's a heads up for saying, I did what I can, but I can't really do much else, unfortunately. I apologize, so... Anywho, with that out of the way, we go back to the same data room we got the ice missiles from, and we get the power bombs. And we start with a pretty healthy amount of them, too. Most games only toss us like 2 or 3 our way, but this game was kind enough to give us 10 from the get-go. And, okay, so, remember how I mentioned, way back when, I don't even remember when now, that we don't have the X-ray scope in this game to scout out, like, different spots or openings in the wall like we did in Super Metroid. So, basically, the power bombs kind of act like a semi-X-ray scope sort of mechanism, in the sense that whenever you place one out, even if whatever object in the wall isn't vulnerable to, like, power bombs or bombs and shit, you can actually see the blocks in form to see what item you need to use to break those blocks. So, yeah, it's pretty helpful in that regard. Just don't, you know, spam the mess out of it. And yeah, I'm aware Sax is in this room, but I don't want to use power bombs because if I did that, I break that structure. And that structure is a trap because it's going to lead myself to getting killed. Ooey. Wow, that powerbomb didn't actually destroy that thing in one hit. Another really shitty thing about powerbombs in this game is that, unlike other games where you had pickups for them, there's not really pickups for powerbombs per se. Like, you have the green and the yellow axes that fill up energy and missiles respectively, but you don't have anything like that for powerbombs, unfortunately. The only way you're going to fill them up in this game is either through recharge stations or picking up other powerbomb tanks or picking up red X's, and as we all know, red X's are extremely rare, so you can't really count on them to save the day for you. Alright. Making some good progress. And yeah, a lot of this is going to seem pretty repetitive, and yeah, it does kind of feel like this part of the game felt like an afterthought. But they had a few varying differences to the road ahead, I guess. If you pay close attention to like the enemies we encounter on the way. Oh, and blue X's. Can't forget those. I don't know what it is about the cold that makes them bigger, though. Like, why is it specifically the blue frozen X parasites that end up being bigger than the others? Oh, yeah, another thing, too. Apparently, powerbombs also pull in X parasites towards you upon killing enemies, so it's like a good semi-charge shot mechanism thing, akin to like Metroid Prime, where you hold the charge shot and you have enemy pickups pulled towards you. Alright, so this one is going to be a little... Oh, okay. He froze that one a little too early. Let me powerbomb this just to... Oh, okay, cool. No! It helps to hold the A button, because I don't know what it is about the morph ball specifically, but when you hold the A button when you're jumping around in morph ball form, it keeps you jumping, because it's not something you can do in, you know, upright form otherwise. Yeah. Whew. Sector threw us a good chunk of power bombs on our way. And yeah, just like the previous game, powerbomb tanks only give you 2 power bombs, so... Even in spite of that, though, this is still the one game I can think of where you get more power bombs than you literally should ever need compared to every other Metroid game. Like, most other Metroid games, you can only usually hold up to 30 or like 10 in the Prime series case. But then you come to this game and you can hold up to like, I think it's like 74 power bombs. Like, what the hell are you gonna need 74 power bombs for? Let's just... Like, I can kind of see the missiles because, like, of the huge quantity of bosses in this game, but I'm not really seeing it for the power bombs. Like, I don't know. Call me crazy. Call me fucking, ow, crazy. Maybe they did that because you don't get super missile tanks in this. I don't know. I try not to think too hard about these sort of things. Alright, so let's see what's up. That was a pretty easy objective. Oh. Taking advantage of the main deck being open now, aren't you? We haven't been back to our ship in a hot minute. You just kind of left it at that, too. Alright, so hopefully with the main deck elevator being in, you know, full restoration and everything, I think we should be pretty good to go for the rest of our mission as far as I'm concerned. Nope, nothing should go wrong. Nothing at all. God fucking damn it. Hurry! It's one thing after the other. Oh. Some very suspicious sounding music. Nobody told me getting back to the ship would be this difficult. Come on. Oh, hey, look. It's my Smash Ultimate, man. Oh. Well then. Of all the things the X-Parasites could possibly copy, though, but I wonder, can they actually replicate dead organisms? I do wonder, like, you know, in regards to Ridley, though, if they plan from the very beginning to use Other M as a reference point to where getting the Ridley body came from. Because if that's the case, like, that's kind of shitty when you really think about it, if you consider the events of Other M and what happened for it to have Ridley in that game in the first place. Because otherwise, I can't really see it, because, like, Zebes had blew up in, you know, Super Metroid, right? So, like, how on earth would they have been able to pull up a Ridley body from that game, you know? Because, like, as we all know, like, Super Metroid is the last canonical appearance of Ridley. Like, Ridley is a canonically dead antagonist at this point, so, like, it just kind of makes you think, you know? Like, what if? Did they really plan Other M from the very beginning? I'd like for somebody to answer that. I'd like to see if something like that's actually been confirmed or not. That'd be an interesting, like, theory to look into, because, like, I wouldn't know how they would have gotten the body here otherwise. Fucking Ridley being a Pokemon and Other M. Nah. Or actually, wait. Might wanna. I might wanna in this case. Well, no shit. Okay, so basically what this means is that all navigational rooms, all save stations, recharge stations, hatches and all, anything that requires power to get through or activate, yeah, they're all down. So this actually ends up being one of the most annoying parts of Metroid Fusion if you've been to this point of the game before. Because this basically means that your ship is the only save station between you and the boss we're about to fight. And look at how far we need to go too. And that's a lot of ground to cover. So, yeah, why are we here at the ship again? Oh. Okay. You know, I guess that kind of makes sense because we did kind of help lead, you know, the Edekins and Decors out of Zebes. If anybody recalls that incident. So, maybe they are familiar with ship navigation. It's so funny how they let something like that play into Fusion as an actual... Oh, wait, they really do know how to operate ships. Like, how the fuck does something like this know how to operate a ship? The healthy biosigns earlier, huh? Alright. Let's go take care of some trouble. Make it double. Oh. Well, hi there. That's not totally foreshadowing in any way. This place looks a lot more dark and desolate compared to the other areas we've been through. And oh, wait a second. That kind of looks like the cocoons we saw back in Sector 2. I wonder. Yeah, there's the main power core. And it's hit with vegetation and all sorts of shit. That's kind of unfortunate. Let's check out the area, because we've certainly never been down here before. I like the lighting in the background, too. It really puts off, like, a really scary vibe. It almost kind of makes the room feel alive, even though it technically isn't, you know? Color palettes can mean everything. Ugh. Oh god, and space pirates. They can actually do more than shoot off walls. Okay, so yeah, this is one of the most annoying parts of the game for sure, is because the boss coming up not only happens to be one of the most difficult bosses in the entire game, if you lose, you have to go through all of this shit again. Wiping out space pirates and all on the way here. And these things hurt like a motherfucker, too. They're not the kind of enemies to be taken lightly, that's for darn sure. Ow. Not too much of a problem, however, if you know their pattern, but you get the idea. But still, it's a long ways of backtracking compared to every other boss we've fought to get to the last checkpoint in case you failed to this boss. Because, man, if you don't know the exploit for this boss, it's a rough time. And guess what? We're going to be exploiting that said exploit. Get in morph ball form. This thing is Yakuza, and he hurts like a goddamn truck. So this fight is divided into 2 phases, and the trick to avoiding him, basically you don't want to have this thing touch you literally ever. You need to play the patient game with this thing and wait for it to open its mouth, but be sure to give yourself enough room to get out of the way of the fireballs before he launches them. And the safe spot I find is to stand into this corner right here and abuse Morph Ball. And I find this kind of leaves me with the most success out of staying out of his way without too much commitment. And this thing does a lot of damage. Basically, it's like playing against a grappler in a fighting game. You don't want this thing to be grabbing you, otherwise you're going to take a shit ton of damage. Yeah, Yakuza is a beast if you don't know what to do. Alright, so now we're on to the second phase, and I like to personally use charged wide beams on this. Make sure he comes into a position where he looks like he's landing on me to land a shot. Those projectiles are pretty hard to avoid, I won't lie. There is a bit of a pattern to them, but there is a way where you can stand underneath it and shoot both it and the mouth at the same time, which is why I recommend the wide beam for this part of the fight. It's a lot of damage. Oh hey, we only take 3 tanks worth of damage on this fight. And yeah, I really am feeling like I'm missing more energy tanks than I should. God fucking damn it. Wait, let's see if we can blow this thing up in style. Come on.
Fatality.
That was hot. You know that was hot. That needs to be some kind of fatality if Samus ever ends up in a real fighting game that isn't Smash. Like, she just jumps off the wall and shoots somebody with a charged super missile or something. Anywho, we got the space jump, and basically what this means is that we don't have to worry about wall jumping anymore. Not that wall jumping was very useful in Metroid Fusion, because they took the sequence break properties out of it. Oi. So, I actually like the space jump in this game. I like it a lot more than I did in Super Metroid and Metroid 2, because Samus doesn't have to dip down nearly as far to jump again. Meaning, it's a lot easier to control, I feel, and I don't know, it just feels a lot easier to move around with without, like, either jumping too high out of it or dipping too low to make another jump. It's a lot easier to control in this game, and that honestly is probably why I had so much trouble with Metroid 2 and Super Metroid Space Jump in the first place, now that I think about it, but... Alright, we got the auxiliary power on, so we're in the clear, right? Yay! Oh. Well, shit. Well, I could have told you that. So, yeah, how are we gonna get to that source of vegetation in the first place? I wonder. It's not like they're gonna conveniently have open hatches for us to be able to exploit along the way, right? Who am I kidding? That sounds like a stupid thing to do. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Anywho, next time on Let's Play Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance, we're gonna find out the real source of all of these power component problems and fix up the space station all nice and new. So, see you guys then.